The playoffs are here, and you can predict the action all the way to the finals with FanDuel Predicts. Predict the spread, the total points, and even the game-winning moments that make the playoffs. Sign up and get a $25 bonus with FanDuel Predicts.
Offered by FanDuel Prediction Markets, LLC, a registered futures commission merchant. 18-plus bonus is non-withdrawable and expires 7 days after receipt. Trading derivatives involves significant risk and may not be suitable for all investors. Manage your activity with their consumer protection tools. Restrictions apply. See terms at FanDuel.com/predicts/bonus-offer-terms.
Listen, all you New Yorkers. Taxi!
Okay, we're looking around.
This is the 77 WABC minicast.
All right, welcome back, everybody. Live on this Sunday morning. Third attempt at Donald Trump's life, fortunately thwarted at the Washington Hilton last night in the the White House Correspondents' Dinner. Dana White was there. Now, remember, it's not just journalists that are there and the members of the administration. There is a celebrity aspect, definitely, especially during the Obama years, at these dinners. The room, and again, I've been there, it probably holds more than 1,000 people. So there's plenty of seats available if you really want to go. So Dana White of UFC fame, he was there, and this is what he thought about being at a place where a shooting took place, and it's not exactly the reaction that most people would give, but it is. Dana White, this is cut number 7, go.
It started getting noisy. Tables getting flipped over, guys running in with guns, and they were screaming, "Get down!" I didn't get down. It was awesome. I literally took every minute of it in, and it was a pretty crazy, unique experience.
So you were on the aisle. What exactly did you see?
We were sitting right in front of the table.
Okay.
Right in front of where the president was.
Table. Yes. And what exactly happened? So someone got tackled, or like what?
Nobody got tackled. Okay. The guys came in looking for shooters. And they came toward our table. I thought the shooter was over by us or something. But, yeah.
So you didn't see the actual attack yourself? Okay.
That's nuts. I mean, we're good allies. He called it a crazy, unique experience. Now, look, I just got back from Disney, all right? And, going on Space Mountain, the roller coaster that's in the dark and you can't see anything, especially the drops, which was annoying at first, and I kind of embraced it on some level. That's crazy and unique. Being in the middle of a live active shooting with the president in the same room, I guess people have different kind of highs, and that's Dana White for you. But let's tell you more about the shooter, suspected shooter, I'm supposed to say legally. This guy was all over Blue Sky. Blue Sky is basically the liberal alternative to, I guess, everything. It's where most far-left people go to talk to each other and talk about how horrible Trump is. It's basically how Blue Sky exists at this point. The suspect's name is Cole Thomas Allen, African-American. He contributed to Kamala Harris's presidential campaign on social media. He also slammed the First Amendment and the pocket squares that journalists were donning at last night's dinner. In other words, he was not happy with that. He also said, quote, on Blue Sky, that Donald Trump should, quote, immediately be removed from office and tried for high crimes. All right. And he also said the president of the United States is personally looting the treasury to the tune of literally billions of dollars, and that he is not being immediately removed from office and tried high crimes against this country is a devastating indictment of every part of our political system. Here's a little problem. This guy's a teacher. This guy has been in classrooms with young kids. This is the guy that tried to carry this whole thing out. It's pretty scary stuff. His account, obviously, on Blue Sky was suspended and post removed early Sunday morning as people are... some outlets like the Free Beacon were trying to review the post. Well, why are they being taken down? That doesn't make a lot of sense. But in the end... hopefully he goes away for life. You hate seeing like John Hinckley is out now, the guy who shot Reagan at the Washington Hilton, I keep saying that, the White House Correspondents' Dinner is held. He's a free man right now. I'm sorry. You try to take out a president in any way, shape, or form. If you're Ryan Ruth, who tried to do it at Trump's golf course down in West Palm Beach or in this place in Washington, in this case, that's automatic. You go away for life, and that's it. I don't want to hear about parole. I don't want to hear about how, you're mentally insane, and okay, maybe you're better now. No, sorry, done. And that's it. So, again, this is a Kamala Harris supporter who tried to carry this out. And maybe he gets his cues from, I don't know, cut 5 that's coming up here in a moment. Here's 1 minute. There's actually 3 minutes in this particular montage, but for the sake of radio, you don't want these things going on for too long. This is 1 minute of calls for violence against Trump just by Democratic lawmakers and their allies in the media. And maybe that's what triggered this particular suspect last night. Cut number 5, go.
I just don't even know why there aren't uprisings all over the country. Maybe there will be.
Yeah. People need to start taking to the streets. This is a dictator.
There needs to be unrest in the streets for as long as there's unrest in our lives.
Enemies of the state.
Show me where it says that protests are supposed to be polite and peaceful.
No. Do something about your dad's immigration practices, you feckless.
When they go low, we kick them.
How do you resist the temptation to run up and wring her neck?
The biggest terror threat in this country is white men, most of them radicalized to the right.
I thought he should have punched him in the face. So even if you lost, he insulted your wife.
Yes.
He came down the escalator and called Mexicans rapists and murderers. He said, well, what do you think I should have done? I said, I think you should have punched him in the face, and then gotten out of the race. You would have been a hero.
I'd like to punch him in the face. I said if we were in high school, I'd take him behind the gym and beat the hell out of him. Punch some people in the face!
When was the last time an actor assassinated a president?
They're still going to have to go out and put a bullet in Donald Trump. And that.
Well, there you go. Go put a bullet in Donald Trump. That's Rick Wilson of the Lincoln Project that has received millions of dollars in donations from people on the far left that agree with this stuff. So when you say this stuff over and over again, that's what triggers a Thomas Crooks. That's what triggers a Ryan Ruth or this guy last night over and over again. Even after Trump has nearly been assassinated twice before last night, that rhetoric just continues from the Cory Bookers of the world, the Hakeem Jeffries of the world, the Nancy Pelosi's of the world. It's just a whole bowl of wrong. And I don't want to hear how it comes from both sides. Sorry. This seems very one-sided at this point from the far left, which is angry, emotional, and would love nothing more. I saw one poll, 55% of those who vote Democrat would have no problem with Donald Trump being assassinated because it's for the good of the country. Because wouldn't you assassinate Hitler if he had the chance? It's just such, again, this country is broken. There is no going back to compromise. There is no going back to working with the other side. There is such hatred, especially from the left, that I don't see this country being the way it was ever again, the way it was under Tip O'Neill and Ronald Reagan working together. Democrat, Republican, Newt Gingrich, Bill Clinton, Republican, Democrat. Sorry. I think at this point it's one big power grab. And when Democrats take back control, they're going to nuke the filibuster and proceed to add 2 states, D.C. and Puerto Rico, adding 4 senators that are all Democrat, guaranteed. They are going to add 6 Supreme Court justices, all liberal, to make it 9-6 liberal. And they will blow up the Electoral College because they know that they're in big, big trouble there because they can't win swing states anymore, especially with the electoral votes shifting from places like New York, California, Minnesota, California to places like Tennessee and Texas and Florida, Idaho, Utah, South Carolina. They're screwed there. So that's where this country is going at this point if Democrats take back power. Unapologetic, and they'll say that this is the best part, and the most... the irony is so pure you could snort it. It's an effort to save democracy. Meanwhile, Hassan Piker, who really is getting a lot of love from the New York Times lately, and Pod Save America, and Ro Khanna, Zohran Mamdani, Bernie Sanders, AOC, Ilhan Omar, they all go on his podcast. Let's do a little flashback of Hassan Piker calling for Trump's assassination. And then the New York Times gives him a full hour on their podcast this week. You say something like that, that should disqualify you from any public discourse with any major news outlet. But no, not the Times. Here's Hassan Piker. And maybe he is the person who inspired the suspect from last night. This is cut number 8. Go.
And you actually wrote about this, and it was a great video where you talked about, someone has to do it. See, when I say that, everyone knows exactly what I mean.
Oh.
Which is, I think that shows that there's a lot of anger, a lot of resentment, and untapped potential untapped revolutionary potential, as a matter of fact. And it's a great opportunity for organizing, I think, in these
Basically, he's Castro at this point. Fidel Castro calling for revolution and uprising. And, oh, yeah, by the way, we all know who I'm talking about when I say we have to assassinate somebody. Trump, of course. Iki. And this is the same guy also, by the way, that the United Healthcare CEO, Brian Thompson, deserved to be assassinated because he was the CEO of a healthcare company. Just said that this week on that New York Times podcast, and no one pushed back one bit. Oh, yeah, and here's Hassan Piker, by the way, in cut 9, basically saying to call all, not just Trump, but all capitalists, because that's what communists want to do. Cut number 9, go. If we have it. Oh, we don't have it? Okay, technical difficulty on that one. Basically, he said, kill all the capitalists, kill those MRFers. That's what he said in his podcast. And again, more and more Democrats are running to his podcast because they think it'll reach voters they normally can't reach. Okay. Live with that one. Meanwhile, Peter Doocy on Fox last night, this was this morning, in front of the White House, talking about what the shooter's plan was as far as trying to get into the ballroom. What was his plan after that? Was to take out Trump or others or all in the ballroom? Here's Doocy, cut number 11, go.
You know, after Butler, his campaign team, the Secret Service, put their heads together and they decided outdoor events just are not safe. It is too hard to secure an outdoor event for President Trump. It seems like indoor events, even though the president says that indoor events will continue, because if you don't have the indoor events, then you really don't have anything going on. But we should expect in the coming days to hear about major security improvements, including that could include President Trump having to wear a bulletproof vest when he is out in public. Because, yes, this person with the gun who was staying at the hotel and came downstairs, that's a very hard thing to defend against, and they did defend everybody in the room against that. But he still got way too close with a gun. And so there are going to be major changes to the protocol here. Like we will hear a lot about the plan working, and it did work because none of the protectees or guests were injured or killed. But that's way too close, and so I expect that.
And Doocy went on to say that the shooter's plan was to shoot through the door and just start shooting everybody. So mass carnage. If he gets Trump, so be it. But could you imagine that, watching that on national television, that's suddenly happening? Again, in what should have been the most secure building in the galaxy, when you have not just Trump, J.D. Vance, Pete Hegseth, Kash Patel, all these other different J.D. Vance, I mean, all these other cabinet members that were there, the White House press secretary, Caroline Leavitt, and still the guy was able to get was in the building and almost got to that ballroom. It's just insane. Meanwhile, we do have the Hassan Piker cut. Our gremlins have been fixed, and this is just worth listening to because, again, this guy is being mainstreamed by Democrats and by the New York Times, and this is the stuff that he has said. It's on tape. We got it here. Cut number 9, go.
Well, my understanding is that the property owners who have properties there choose just not to rent it at all.
Yeah, kill them. Kill those. Murder those in the street. Let the streets soak in their red capitalist bloods, dude.
I mean, again, this is Castro times 10, and he is living here. And Ro Khanna and AOC, who really want to be president, gladly go on there smiling. Zohran Mamdani had him as a featured guest at his victory party. Anybody want to watch can anybody ask the mayor about this? Because I'd love to hear the smiling answer for it, because he probably believes the same thing. That's why else would you invite a maniac like that to your victory party and pose for photos with him and do his podcast, unless you agree with him? Meanwhile, Scott Jennings over on CNN, again, making common sense and a good argument here. The Secret Service agent who took a bullet, again, he was wearing a vest, so thankfully it looks like he's going to be okay. He did it for free, and this is what we mean. Cut number 16, go.
One other thing going on in Washington. The guy who took a bullet tonight, a Secret Service agent, they are not being paid. Right. They work for the Department of Homeland Security. It has been unfunded for 70 days. And so when I look at these law enforcement guys, particularly at the federal level, NDHS, these Secret Service guys, putting your life on the line. And I've seen a picture of one of the agents standing directly in front of the President of the United States. heroes.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Absolute heroes, what they do. And then look how we treat them. Look how the political system treats them. And so grateful to all the agents and all the law enforcement that put their lives on the line. One took a bullet. Now, he had the vest, but he took a bullet. Thank God for these people.
Imagine that. You haven't been paid for 10 weeks, and you're still throwing your body. You see the video. It's amazing. One Secret Service agent gets up and literally sits on top of the table in front of Trump until they could get him out of there. In other words, all right, if a bullet's going to come, it's going to hit me before it hits him. And they haven't been paid in 70 days because Democrats, I guess, want to make a point about ICE, which is funded through 2029 anyway, so there's no point to make. And they're not paying these guys or DHS. A great idea, by the way, not paying DHS when the World Cup is coming here. What chaos is that going to be? Oh, anyway, before we go to break, the White House Correspondence President from CBS, Regina Wang, she, after this happens, then goes to the microphone and, of course, has to praise the press for reporting on what happened after the shooting. They're in a lockdown, in a room with cell phones. What else would you have them do, Regina? But anyway, this is cut number 17. Go.
And on a night when we are thinking about the freedoms in the First Amendment, we must also think about how fragile they are. I saw all of you reporting, and that's what we do.
Yeah, that deserves a standing O and a pat on the back. Yeah, a shooting just happened, and I have my cell phone and in a room that I can't leave. I guess I'll report now, and that deserves praise? That's your job. It's insufferable. It's the only word that comes to mind. What isn't insufferable is the Tunnel to Towers Foundation Sunday morning show, hosted by yours truly, Joe Concha. We wrap this puppy up in just a moment.